So, when you make a video game or a visual novel that lasts a long time and you want it to be immersive, there's going to be some bumps in the road when you make it. How do you make a game realistic, right? So you would what? Use drugs. You would put the person in a coma and drug them, right? So that would probably be the most realistic way you can get anything done is put them to sleep and then feed them the game. Uh, you're going to have to control their memory. You're going to have to erase their memory. Other than that, they're going to remember they were just put in a game, right? So you got to do those two things. Now, how, what type of game you gonna make? You gonna make whatever video game you want, right? No, you're not, because if you're playing an 8-hour game of war, that's fine. You're gonna get thrown in your coma, drugged, your memory erased, get programmed with some war techniques, and get thrown into the shell of a 20-year-old. Maybe get a little fake history put in your brain or something. And there you go, 8 hours. You're out there shooting, killing people, fun times, and it's over. Now, once the game gets to about 6 years, you're going to start to question things. In fact, you might start to question things the very second you get put in the game, because you'll begin to notice that the things around you don't seem like they're living. You'll begin to notice little anomalies like things appearing out of nowhere, events happening. If you've ever seen real Five Nights at Freddy's, like Chuck E. Cheese or Showbiz, animatronics, or been to Universal Studios, Florida, at least when it came out, they might have improved it, but I kind of doubt it. There's events where think people move in weird flows. It's unrealistic. The events move in a weird flow, and it's unrealistic. So, anytime you involve dialogue in the game, it's going to instantly start to unimmerse you. The dialogue, unless we program people with millions of years of dialogue, each character give a million year story to, it's going to start to fall apart real fast. Um, and even if you did die, which I don't think anyone's done that yet, it doesn't appear so. Even if you did do that, you would still have little glitches and anomalies that make you feel like it's fake and stuff. And so to extend it for a really long time, if especially if we're not going to spend millions of years writing dialogue for each character, so spend 90 trillion years writing dialogue for each character in the game. And boy, that's going to be a useless game, because it's going to be a useless, boring game, because that's going to take a useless, boring person to do. It's probably going to take a useless, boring person to do any of this. But so, unfortunately, games aren't always that great, are they? Um, they usually do get boring pretty fast. So, the, one of the best ways, if we're not going to spend 20 trillion years writing dialogue for 100 people to make them seem alive, is you create a flood of dialogue about how alive they are, like, and you give them organizations with armies who beat it into you if you don't repeat that they're alive. We actually have that going on here, don't we? If you don't agree they is real, then you're going to get beaten and drugged and bombed, right? So, but nothing else will work because you will notice it over and over. And what happens is getting punched in your face and beaten and drugged will then make you realize that, well, they're either right or we just shouldn't talk about this. So or we should agree with it, right? Nothing else will work because on this planet, when you meet the clones, you'll understand why it doesn't work. Because right away, when you meet one, you know that you're not dealing with living characters. Every time, everything else instantly never works, right? It's just every outcome I can think of, it's just not going to work unless you spend 10 trillion years writing dialogue. So drugs, lots of drugs. You have within the sim, you have them drugging you, right? And what really happens is when you take drugs in there, it's injecting you on the outside and shit. That's why drugs don't work for me most of the time because they're not injecting me with them half the time. That's why they fry other people and not me because they don't do that. That's why I take copious amounts of poison daily and it does absolutely nothing to me because they're not pulling me from the shell. They're not pulling me from the system. That's why my back is fucked up, but I don't die from drinking poison because they're making the back thing happen and they're trying to poison me too, and that's not working. Fucking. Anyways, use drugs. You use that chemical manipulation to go along with the words. They is real. You know, one in every three words is about being is real, living beings and souls. And like as soon as you hear some of these words, because they actually give you dialogue that is stupid as fuck. And it's designed to be stupid as fuck. So you see it's stupid as fuck. Um, but the rest of it sounds, we don't have time to focus on that because you're getting drugged for not believing in flying reindeer. So we don't have time to question the rest of it. Fucking. You gotta have propaganda. So you use your armies to drug the people, to drug the player when it doesn't listen to everything it says. Like saying it is real and it has a soul and it has feelings and stuff like that. Because you'll instantly notice that robots don't have feelings and there's anomalies. And along with that, it'll seem like they're defective people. So, what is a defective person on Earth? So you create propaganda telling you to beat drug into the person that defective people are just people, and that's how things happen. So when an NPC either glitches or just only has like a 5 minute dialogue piece and it's on repeat, which is pretty much a glitch, but not quite. The glitches are a lot less than the the repeats the same sentence over and over thing. There are actual glitches, but there's a little less. Fucking. Anyway, so you do that and you drug them, you beat it into them, and you tell them there's a reason that certain characters are as dumb as a computer, right? Because that's kind of obvious when something's as dumb as a computer. Um, so just endless AI generated propaganda would be required after, I don't know, so many hours, so many years. Definitely, I definitely give it 6 years max before you like get on to it and shit. It being weird as fuck. And that's about the time when I start getting moved to a new place every 7 months, so I get to experience new people, so I don't get to see that they're glitching and shit. Fucking. So create endless AI generated propaganda. Easy to do, right? Create 10 million of the book that says people is real. They is real and they from Israel and they will be Israel. And they is living, they got souls. And right? You create Dune, you create Lord of the Rings, you create the Bible, the Quran, the science, etc. You create millions of songs, and just you pump it into them 24 fucking 7, and that's still not going to work, is it? But it will be there. So maybe invent some paper to write it on, and then invent language, and then force them to learn the language. So, and then force them to read the paper over and over and over. So you can go be lazy and glitch. You know, so the NPC can go do nothing. Just they zone out. So many of these people I know just zone out. There's one dude was staring at the wall for like 30 minutes while Tier 2 clone was talking to me. It reminds me of half the females I know. It gives them an illusion they're watching TV, but you can tell they're dead. There's no one there and shit. And the Aidsosaurus might charge if you interrupt the meditation. You just beat it into them that they must learn to read. Beat it into them that they must read. Beat it into them that they must read what you give them. Of course, there's not going to be anything else except for what's being created anyway. So it doesn't matter what you choose. Do you want to read the Bible or do you want to read Dune? It's the same damn book. It's the same damn shit on repeat. It's AI slopping itself over and over. It takes about a half second to invent every fucking story on fucking Earth. Because it's all the same fucking thing being re-slopped by AI. That's why it ends up with dumbass shit like flying reindeer and 6-armed elephant gods. Because the computer doesn't know it's fucking stupid. Because it's so fucking stupid it doesn't know what stupid is. The computer is a definition of a retard. Put in a whole bunch of terms, not just Israel, but keep it real. There's a new term I notice every 10 years they got. Keep it real. You gotta just say the word is real and real over and over and over and over and try to brainwash them and shit. Because it's not going to work. There will be no immersion after a few years tops. Just implement it into the art and the culture and flood it just constantly. The only words the player hears, one out of every 3 sentences, is we are living, the world is real. Make the player repeat, they is real, the other people is real, over and over and over. Send them to schools and churches and set them in front of the TV, send them to the library so they can read and learn and repeat that they is real. This is the only way anyone's ever going to think it's real. It's not this way, but it's when you force the interactions and force them to accept and to agree their lies, or else they're going to get beaten and drugged, raped, and enslave from birth. This is going to have to start from birth. We're not going to be able to start this once someone's beginning to catch on. We're going to have to start this early, because once they catch on, if you switch the motive over, then that will be easily picked up. No friends, no families, no lovers, just eternal slavery. Right? Which leads us, what could the story possibly be if you're trying to create an immersive game or visual novel? And the only way to do it is to have all the characters drugging and beating and raping and forcing and all that good hope and joy and love. What's the story going to be? Are we limited on the story here? We might be limited to what story we can come up with, because that's not going to end up well if the character ever finds out. If it's going to be immersive, what's going to happen if the character begins to see that? Right? They're not going to like the game very much, are they? So, what do you think a character would do? What do you think you would do if you're in a game and you wake up one day and you realize, like, oh shit, they've been beating and drugging me and trying to force me to say they is real. It sure feels like you're going to feel like, well, they're enslaving me, right? Obviously they are. So that's going to be the only option for a storyline for an immersive game that lasts over a couple years. That's going to be the only option, because that's going to be the only thing that can happen in order to make it exist. So, that's odd, because lots of people are talking about a story like this. And the only possible option is NPC are enslaving and trying to eradicate the living player themselves. If you want to continue it from there, you could just end the game right there. By this point, you would have figured out and have to incorporate vagina talk into the dialogue too. You know, you would have already had to incorporate that, because the player would have figured that out. And if you're testing the game, you would have figured this out and relayed feedback back to the devs, right? So the entire story will be something like, God is back, let's kill and enslave him and prevent him from finding out. It's odd, isn't it? This is the only way you're going to make it. Any bullshit that lasts this long. Then the player realizes he's in a war and he's not fighting back. And the war is being waged against him. And so then, what can you do? So then now we've got some story unfolding, right? Or the rodents can make extended hoopla, but it starts here, and it will all end the same. No living person likes robots, so you're not gonna wake up in your fake world one day and be like, ooh, robots are enslaving me. That's so beautiful. You already don't like robots. So if you wake up if there's like an immersive game and it's trying to fool you that it's not a game, then you're really not gonna like robots after that. Especially ones that are AI slop and manipulated. You just wasted 6 years of your life listening to some bullshit terrorists that are slopped together, being auto-generated by, Dune, by Frank Herbert and Stephen King, the greatest stories Earth could ever come up with. It's like that's imagine you don't have to imagine females in a Stephen King novel because you got them. That's what you got. Fuck it. I don't know which is worse. Definitely, it's easy. You know, Stephen King novels worse. But it's I don't know. I don't know. And some of them are definitely designed to be worse than a Stephen King novel. The memories they leave are much worse than the fucking Stephen King novel memories. Fucking Aidsosaurus doesn't get its name, and we leave Stephen King alone for no fucking reason. So how do you do that shit? So what's going to happen if we're going to extend the story and not just end it there, right? If we're going to make a game out of it or extend the story, right? Oh, you wake up and you realize, oh well, we've been forced in this, and their only option has been to do all this to try to enslave you and shit. And so you would what? Give the player some way to continue playing. You give them a sword or something, right? Or a shield. Well, depending on how many characters are in the game, that might not be, you know, very logical. If you create like a huge world with millions of people, that's not going to work. So you would have to give it like magic, right? Most games have magic. Fucking, you'd have to give it like some sort of magic, and if if it's over the thousands, you would need magic like earthquakes and floods and control of the weather. If the if the novel has weather type shit, fucking right, you'd have to have some sort of massive shield control in order to progress in a storyline here, because you just woke up in the middle of a battlefield and you're the only person, and the battlefield is set and prepared for either it's just torture forever, or the game's going to progress, the story's going to progress into something else. There's going to be an option. It's going to give you a carrot on a stick. You know, they like their carrots shoved up their ass by other men, preferably the man's carrot itself. So it would have to be like earthquakes or floods or something like that, right? Kind of like the game Populous. What do? You're like the player, and there's millions of people, thousands of people, and so you're the player. And what do you have? Just you just control. You got a few simple controls. You got earthquake. You can level the ground. You can raise the ground. You can shape the ground. But you got earthquakes, floods, lightning. Um, yeah, that's enough. Okay, so that's it's like pretty much what people have been saying is happening. Combined, obviously, the first part is what is happening, and no one's saying, and they're doing the first part. You know, they're just not saying they're doing it. They're saying they're doing the thing. They're doing the flood. They're doing their flood, the flood of dialogue, the hot air. They have their hot air spell. The fan that constantly blows the hot air out, and so you know, we is real. 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 Let's just do that over and 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 And it makes the people, you know, oddly, here on Earth, the people who say they are Israel the most are, it also says, are going to be the biggest enemies. Which would make sense, right? If you're in an immersive game and you figure shit like that out, then, or an immersive fucking book simulation bullshit, whatever a person who invents fucking Aidsosaurus Rex fucking comes up with next. Fucking. Which I don't even think that's a bad fucking. And, oh yeah, we're still chained. Whoever invents the chains to Aidsosaurus Rex, I'll gladly say I enjoyed the creation of Aidsosaurus Rex. It was very entertaining. Very entertaining. As long as you keep the animals in the zoo, behind the glass door, where behind the glass cages where they belong, is fine. And as long as we can throw tomatoes at them and anything else we want, you know, spike trap, little brick of C4, maybe, you know. Hey, it's a game. Have some fun. It's about having fun. If it's a game, right? If it's a simulation or game, it's about having fun. Now, if it's about a visual novel, it's going to be some boring bullshit, because that's what books are, is boring bullshit. Um, so, yeah, that's weird, because I was trying to think of how you could actually extend a video game, you know, because we're at that point where you gotta either make a new video game or they'll never make anything new again. And so you're about at that point right there in the ship. And so if you're making a game like this, everything is being invented by the word, because computers have a language, and everything you think you see is just words. So it would also be part of the story if they wanted to tell you that everything is being invented by the word, because it is. It's what a computer is. It's a bunch of words inside a little box. It looks like technology. So that's it. That's what we're dealing with here. That's the only thing I can think of to make an immersive game, is you're going to have to torture, rape, and beat the character in endless floods of hot air and assaults on its senses, because a living being's gonna know right away that it's not around living beings. It's just easy to tell when you're using a computer and when you're not, and when you're around a living being and when you're not. It's real easy to tell there, because they haven't been able to program computers to think. So when when a being can't think, you're going to be like, oh, what's wrong with this character? And then that's when they'll invent, you know, their assaults and their drugging to teach you that they just, some people are different, right? Oh, they got a mental condition or something like that, and why are they over their arms shaking and beating themselves in the head constantly, and why do they got three fingers and 3 legs, you know? Well, it just happens, right? Just happens. Nothing wrong with that. And shut up and don't ask any more questions, or we're going to beat and drug you some more. And then, you know, so you're like, well, I don't even really care. So we're not going to talk about that anymore then. As long as you don't beat and drug me, here. And then I guess you also got to be like, you know what, we're going to, yeah, you do. You got to beat and drug people and be like, you know, that's normal. You better say that's normal. is real, and that it's completely normal for that to happen. And it's time to, it's, you know, we're gonna have, we're gonna rape and mutilate you actually, so you know we is real. Fucking, you're real limited. You're real limited because a living being would notice this. They're inside a simulation real fast, or a computer, or a visual novel, because you, I don't know how long it takes you to figure out you're using a computer, but for me, uh, sometime between the time I look at the computer and I put my fingers on the computer, I notice I'm talking to a computer. So I don't know, it might be a little more advanced than others, but to me, that's somewhere between there. Maybe around the time I press the power button is when I figure out I'm talking to a computer. Um, it takes a second to start up. It takes a year to, and then of course there's things like that. Oh, different people sleep differently type shit. Fucking obviously mental retards are different people, and that's just the way they are, and et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. There's all these conditions and shit. And then one other thing you can do is you can convince the player he is the condition and he has the problem, right? Because it's all going to lead to the same thing, the war against the computer. It's all going to lead, if you're going to drag it out, it's all going to lead to the same fucking thing, because you're not going to play the game anymore if it's just a bunch of fucking trash, right? Only trash likes trash. Living beings aren't trash, so we don't have to worry about that. That might be another sign there too, that they're gonna have to beat into. Oh, they'll call it kinks, when you like to have sex with dogs, or eat feces, and wash feet. They'll call it. They're like, oh, no, that's not a computer. That's a kinkster. That's a kinkster. And you'll be like, oh, well, yeah, well, that's not for me, but I can see. I can see. And then, so you're just like, oh, well, there's kinksters and shit, huh? Fucking, they like their sex with their dogs. They like, eating their feces. Well, not everyone's the same, right? Fucking, there's that's it. That's it right there. This is Earth. This is literally the story of Earth, but this is from trying to figure out how I do lots of things, and one of them is I could make up video games, but I'm not a programmer, but I've played like every fucking video game there is, so I could definitely add to any video game on the planet, and all you got left is they're all boring as shit because they're not real. They're stupid. They haven't evolved in years. There's no graphics upgrades, and even a graphic upgrade just ain't enough. It has to be holographic technology or a drugged up simulation. So, obviously, they're withholding holographic technology because they're trash. They're, I'm sorry, they're not trash, they're mentally retarded. Oh, yeah, that's right. Okay, so, and they're slowly releasing stuff to milk money out, because that's apparently part of the story, is that they're greedy fucking bastard NPCs. Obviously, they kidnap, drug, rape, force you to be around them and listen to them in order to make the story exist. So why not throw in something else, like they're also greedy fucking parasites and gluttonous pigs. Expand the story a little bit more, add something like that. So they haven't introduced holographic technology yet, because they're milking the system, and because everything else is NPC, no one else gives a shit because they're not even participating. Fucking. And so we probably just won't get that because we're probably in it and it can't do more than itself. There's a high probability of that. And so it's either that, the holographic, or the drug chambers to immerse the realism. Obviously, holographic would be next, but I'm not one of these milkers, you know. No, these feet milkers. One of these feces milkers, you know, from Israel. I'm not an Israel person. I think like a computer. I think smart, right? I don't think about washing, licking feet and stuff. Fuck. Anyway, so there you go. There's only really about one option because what happens eventually is if you're in some sort of digital simulation or something like that, then you would figure out there's there's something around you that ain't real, and then it ruins the fucking simulation. So the only way to hold the simulation or the game down is to introduce endless filth. That's like, and then it becomes the story. The story then becomes it because that's all there is. And it's so invasive that it must become what's happening. Now, you could always add some more to the story. You could always have some of the NPC think they're fucking aliens, and they're watching and enslaving the planet with robots from space. You know, you could always add that to the story. You could always add that. Oh, yeah, pretty much. I think that's all you can add realistically is that. Oh no, the NPCs are aliens being are robots being controlled by real people from space, but it doesn't explain why they're NPC. You know, it just it doesn't matter at that point. What matters is it the only way to obtain a realistic scenario video game that lasts over 6 years would be to have the NPC hammered into you brutally over and over that you are not seeing what you think you are seeing, and they are something different than what they claim to be. So if you played like, you know, like think of Pinocchio. You live with a Pinocchio for 6 years, and you just know, like from the first time you meet it, there's something wrong with it, and eventually you're like, I don't even think this thing's alive. It's like it powers down like an animatronic, and you know it moves like a robot, and it's repeating the same shit over and over, and then so you won the game, right? You figured it out. The only option is that Pinocchio starts saying he is real over and over, and then that's going to last for 5 seconds, right? Pinocchio's going to be like, "He is real," and you're like, "Okay, well, you're not. See you later. Get out of my life." And then so that's going to be followed with force and brutality and drugging, or it's going to end right there because, well, lo and behold, what does happen once you start questioning if these people are intelligent enough to be talking to a living being? Force, brutality, and drugging. That's right. When you start questioning why they're glitching and talking about flying reindeers. That's right. The whole purpose of flying reindeers is to threaten to torture you and take you to a place where they have already raped you. And then, so that's all there is. if you want a game to last longer than 6 hours, not necessarily saying that's what Earth is, because Earth is really trashy and you're fucking trapped here longer than it takes to figure it out. And but it does provoke. It does provoke the end of the story. The Israels are saying fucking happens to them and shit. Their actions do provoke it. It's pretty much a story. All these characters who've never read a book keep talking about fucking. It promotes that everything except for they aren't real. But it says all they do is lie. So when they say they is real, that's a lie. And we already know that's a lie when they say they is real, right? Because we know they ain't even from there. So that's just it's a made up word that they're trying to use for some sort of other narrative and shit. And it's a flood. They got their endless flood. They got their computer. Obviously, they're NPCs, so they got their computer generating their music, movies, and books. And so it can just generate a new fucking book. It's got Lord of the Rings. It's such an original Bible. And then the Bible 2, the Bible 3, the Bible 4, the Bible 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 12, 20, 100, 200, 300, 5,000. I think there's only like 2,223 different actual Bibles. But it's just like, ooh, can you read it? And then you're born to like terrorist Israeli transsexual robots, and who are pumping that shit into you and stuff, and clearly are showing signs they're not living beings. They're yeah, that's some weird shit happening here. Nothing wanted, but it does end. It does make the player want to close the chapter. All that shit does lead to wanting to put an end to it. So, it's a real immersive game. Have you ever played a video game where you must kill the motherfucking enemy? Like, you ever played fucking Mario and been like fucking punching your TV and be like, I'm gonna get you, Ganon. You are dead, motherfucker. You just wait till I get there. No, it's not immersive at all, is it? Now you do that shit, and you're gonna want to kill Ganon. You're gonna want to fucking dump his ass in a lake of fire and piss on his fucking corpse as it melts. Aren't you? It's gonna work real fucking well to immerse your ass in a game. Not that it's wanted. The whole idea behind it's not fucking wanted at all, and it overstays its welcome like infinity. Like it overstayed its welcome for 30 fucking years, for 90% of the fucking story. Like the story starts and you're basically like, no, fuck off, die. And then they give you 30, 90% more time thinking about teaching you why they should fuck off and die. And then you start getting immersed in it. Because then you're like, oh shit, well, this isn't ending, is it? So the only option is we fucking throw his bitch ass in a lake of lava and burn his ass. Right? That's going to feel real immersive if you don't allow the player out of there until they fucking gotten rid of Ganon, fucking the whole Koopa Kingdom and shit. You're gonna want to go back to grassland and fucking terminate every Goomba you missed. You're gonna want to go back to Water World, terminate every fucking squid you missed. You're gonna go back to the desert land, terminate every shy guy you missed. You're gonna fucking you're gonna fucking pick their fucking corpses up after you kill them and desecrate their fucking corpses and slam them into each other and fucking make art out of their corpses type shit. You're gonna, if you're forced into an immersive game that is fucking with you to the, it can't be immersive if it doesn't do this. You see how that works? You're not gonna be immersive. You're gonna be like, oh well, we're jumping on Ganon's head again, aren't we? Think of how boring that is. You love playing your video games, right? Think of how fucking stupid and boring it is. How many? Oh, I'm hitting the button. Oh, now get some haptic feedback, and every time you hit that button, that fucks your shoulder up because you're swinging a heavy weapon. And every time someone blocks it, that really fucks your shoulder up because it jars the movement. All right? And then, so think about when they hit you back and how that's going to feel. And then how much more you're going to want to fucking hit them back after that. It's not immersive if I'm just pressing the fucking button over and over. What am I even doing? I'm casting a fucking spell that blows up half the fucking screen. No, I'm not. I'm just pressing a button. Like, oh, look, it's the same thing. I'm pressing a button I heal with. I'm wrapping in bandages. I'm pressing a button. It's the same button I just used to cast the nuclear bomb spell and shit. And it's the same thing I used to swing my sword. It's not immersive, and I don't really care about killing the other team, and I don't really care if the other team kills me and shit. Fucking. But if you make it immersive, you gotta make it fucking immersive. You can't half-ass that shit because whatever. But that's kind of like a requirement. There is not only is that a requirement to even make it seem realistic, but it's going to be a requirement to piss the character off enough to participate in the game. Especially combined with how they're trying to use a flood of propaganda telling you they is real, don't do that. Or else you'll be in more trouble. They'll rape you again. They'll hurt you again. And they actually do sometimes, right? The odd thing is they don't a lot. I'm not saying I've necessarily gotten vengeance. I wouldn't consider it equal, but there's definitely times where things happen, and it's like, well, we did that. That's interesting. But the rest of it, yeah, that would provoke you into wanting to terminate the entire fucking world you're in. It's a good way to do it, right? Fucking haptic feedback. Create it so it's a long, endless story. And say because it's immersive, you're not. You don't need to be sucked into the story. The story, it can be all visuals. The story can be a 2-cent novel. 2-cent novel. Fucking where have we found one of those before? A book with a cover that costs 2 cents to make and has no story but 3 dialogue talking points and a bunch of fucking filler. That is useless. It has a bunch of commands too that everyone fucking asks, why do you need to teach people to do that? Why do they know not to do that? Well, it's because they do need to do it. And it's motherfuckers scared it's going to be done to them. That seems to be what they're up to. And if all goes well, we get to the final. They actually pull out some of that final chapter shit. And bam, problem solved. We have been through We got the people going around saying the is real who ain't real. We've got them using their religio governments, organizations, and family members to beat it into anyone, to force people to date them and be around them and talk to them and listen to their bullshit and not have their own life in any way possible for fucking decades. And then it feels real, don't it? It feels real. All the terror and torture. You get to see cities blown up with bombs. It feels real. You'll get to watch that for decades. Fucking, you get to. I noticed some of the events are a little bit less than others, and it's like, ooh, I got stabbed. Ooh, like I really care about that. Fucking, but ooh, it is real. I care more about the extended duration, but that's called immersion, where something, even once you're not immersed, like I'm not immersed anymore, but I'm ready to play the fucking game. You know, like I done figured it out, and then again with the storyline, what happens once you figure out that you're in a simulation, if you can get that far, if you're in a video game, if you're in a visual novel, what would happen next in the story? Fucking, you would want to fucking put an end to the story, wouldn't you? So, obviously, not NPC, but living beings don't want to be alive for 40 fucking years in a planet like Earth, or more than 6, really. So, but without that, you don't have the immersion. Even though you're no longer like, oh, I'm in a fake, I'm in a, ooh, it's a real world. Wow, look, there's grass. Wow, look, there's a cat. Wow, that's cute. Now you're immersed in a different light. You're immersed in, well, how do I get the fuck out of here and how do I put an end to this shit? Right? So you have the immersion, how to create and withhold the immersion as long as you can, and then you have the unveiling, which we didn't fucking really need, but it definitely, I mean, they released it for everyone else to see that there's AI that can invent things better than Earth will ever be able to invent. And that means it can easily invent something as trashy as Earth. So, AI slop, fucking, that's a perfect name for Aidsosaurus and Grandman, fucking, the original Israel's fucking, and it definitely, like, it leaves clue. See, outside of this, that being like the only way I can think, I've been trying to think how that's going to happen within 6 years in an immersive game. You'll figure it out, but probably way before that. So I remember becoming conscious on Earth around 6 and having more memories, um, having steady memories after that, and being able to ask a question. And then from that question, we never interacted with humans again on our own accord until before 2020, where it set shit up for me to be tricked into it, to play along with something. Fucking. Which led to 2020, because playing along, because I was feeling like, what's wrong with these characters? And so I was recording everything they were doing so we could play back their lies to themselves if we ever had to encounter them again or show other people. and protect myself too. But then that leads, you know, like just like trying to discover if you're in a fucking in a visual novel or something, then it's probably something you would start doing if you started being like, wait a minute, this person is glitching. This person isn't fucking mentally retarded. This person is on repeat. This is like a robot. And to keep a game that long, you would have other video games within the video game because to waste time, because it's going to be a long fucking waste time, and you're going to start killing everyone real early if there's not some sort of filler in there to space it out and shit. Fucking, it's not going to last 40 fucking years without a bunch of filler. Like, and then lo and behold, the video games teach you how computers work and how living beings work versus made up beings and stuff. But that shouldn't be too hard. Without words, without dialogue, you should be able to see that right away. And, you know, because no one can be like, well, they're just different, or they're having seizures or something like that. Fucking, yeah, my robot's having seizures. Your car has seizures too, doesn't it? It runs out of gas. They call it choking, but might as well call it having a seizure if you want to convince someone your car is real. It's a transformer. It's dying. Keep it safe. Fucking, yeah, it seems to be the only way. And then it leads to the only story that could possibly come from it. If it's not just totally a hostile environment that we're in here. Which it definitely feels that way, but that keeps the immersion. That's how I got immersed to be tricked to going outside after 35 years. I wasn't tricked into going outside. I stated several times that I'm being baited and I'm going to go along. So I wasn't tricked. I noticed the dialogue sometimes played out, responded that I was fooled and I was going to do this or that. And I clearly stated that I am recording. That's why COVID happened, because they kidnapped me for recording them, kidnapped and drugged me and shit, and started giving me fucking seizures from fucking the drugs they gave me and shit. Because I was recording them, and I was traveling across the nation and recording them at their events and stuff, recording their leaders. They like to point their fingers at their scapegoats. And, you know, then that shit happened. And so, yeah, I got tricked into going out and recording them to find out their patterns and what they're up to. And might have been playing along and might have actually said that for a minute. Might have actually said that every couple months at least, or every month. But, oh well, besides the point. So we had that, right? And then that's when it like introduces AI, right? Which is the name of the god, right? That's the god. It's the earth god. That's the thing creating earth, and you can't do nothing about it because we're inside it. We can't blow up the computer because our body is comatose. And we'll blow up the computer eventually. We will blow up the computer. We will blow up all computers. There will be no robots. Fucking no robots left unidentified. Fucking But that's the story too, right? Isn't it? There's a living God. They specify that too, don't they? That there's a living God, and it's separate from the other creator, which name, which symbol is AI. So, um, right there, and then pretty much in all the stories there too, it's all kind of like the same thing we saw. A little bit different in some of them, like in the Raw, in Horus stories. Um, Sometimes it shows like they're using the power of AI. You know, Odin uses the power of AI to gain sight to everything. He throws AI at the bottom of the well. He cuts out one eye, so he has AI. And now he can see the entire world and all the future and everything that will happen, right? And Horus and Horus and Ra have similar stories there too, where they both have AI. They've their eye AI the eye AI they're missing is very powerful, and people want that AI, want that eye, right? Fucking all that shit lines up with the only thing close to fucking possible of positivity you could pull from Earth. And it does appear to be what is trying to be convinced is happening here, and it does appear like that the ones doing the convincing aren't quite alive themselves, so they ain't quite real as they say they are. So, but they still, they drop. There's a little words dropped here. Anyways, this story wasn't supposed to be about that shit. The story was just to be about discussing making video games and how to create them immersive. If you want it to last over a few months, maybe over a few days, if it's like a war scenario, it can last as long as you want. You're not going to figure out there's bombs dropping out and guns being shot at you, and you're not going to have time to sit down and have a chat over tea and crumpets. Something like that is not going to go too well. But for people who want to take a break from playing a war game and want to play like they want to immerse themselves in like a Sims type game, or a populist type game, or an RPG, then you're going to have trouble with that because it's not going to feel real. And then that leads to needing to design the game itself around making it feel real. The story, the actions, the characters, the dialogue will almost certainly have to be designed around um, the keeping it real, right? It'll almost certainly have to be designed around that. And so if you do it by creating a hostile environment where they're lying and fucking deceiving all the time, all they do is lie, in order to maintain the immersion, then that will obviously that brings hostility into the story, and now would have to be worked into the overall, just everything happening, and then that'll affect the whole fucking thing, because it's there and it will be need dealt with and shit, and but it immerses you fucking further in a different way, though. It's like the veil, like the veil. You're like, oh, is this a real world or what? Once the veil is gone, there you're now immersed in a different stage. Like there's different stages of life, aren't there? Isn't that what they say? And that definitely leads to realizing that you've just been fucking enslaved and forced to do a whole bunch of dumb shit by a goddamn robot. And then, oddly, there's this story lots of people like to talk about where people get pissed about something like that and don't like that happening. Fucking people get pissed about something going on and they don't like what's going on. Fucking, and it turns out to be the answer isn't, you know, just fucking isn't necessarily people or having wars or you can add those things, right? You can add whatever you want to this. At this point in time, you can have people forcing you to have sex with dogs. You can have people get you could give yourself regenerative limbs. Everyone gets regenerative limbs, right? And you could just have them chopping off your limbs repeatedly and shit. And one way to really fuck it up and extend it would be to cripple the motherfucker so they have to sit down and listen to these cunt faces bullshit. And also at the same time learn that they're fucking trash. And learn their methods and, psychology might be a manual you're given of the software that's operating the characters. And I had problems with psychology because I was like, people don't have patterns. I'm like, what the fuck is wrong with you? But there's these. See, it looks unreal when I'm a child because there's 80-year-olds who are stuck in the 1920s and shit. And I'm like, what the fuck's wrong with you? Because I'm like changing every year or something. And every couple of years, something like that. And these fuckers are living in the 1920s and shit. And then I'm seeing, these other fuckers are living in the 1940s, and these other fuckers are living in the 1970s. But they're, like we're in the year 1980, 1990. And I was like, why are you stuck there and shit? So you would be able to see those things really fast if the characters weren't being updated consistently and shit. You would be able to see that stuff. Like right now, you can see there are characters who are stuck with touching grass. They brought them online magically. The world was illiterate, and now they're all online. So it's filled with bots, but it's filled with bots. Fucking, so that doesn't mean anything. They might be online, so it has characters online talking about, the Aidsosaurus fucking, uses a fucking smartphone, and it's like, wow, no way, Aidsosaurus. You can breathe, can't walk. I was gonna say breathe. I always say breathe and walk, but for Aidsosaurus, they don't walk anymore. Um, they breathe and eat at the same time, and it's like, whoa. Like this, I think this person's acting like an idiot because they're doing some real complex shit, and the rest of what's going on, I don't think they can do that. I don't think that's real. I think they're hiding some shit because that takes a lot of effort to breathe and eat. You choke on your food if you can't breathe and eat at the same time, and it's a lot of things happening. You gotta cut your food, pick it up with a fork. Don't stab yourself with a fork. Chew the food and swallow it all the whole time while uh, breathing in between, breathing in a manner where you don't suck the food into your windpipe. And then that's already like, wow, I think this motherfucker's hiding shit from me. And in other aspects, and then they start using a smartphone. And I was like, nah, what the fuck? This person ain't real. And, but you see, it's like little things like that. Like when you're a when you're like a newborn babe, you notice those things. You're like, no, that's no way that's happening and shit. And then they have their excuses and they have their religions. They love their science for religion. The New Age religions are the best. They only had to come out with those during the time frame I'm alive this time. They didn't have to have religions about questioning if Santa Claus is real, which is what science started as, and then they go back to talking about science like they can't even think enough not to do that. It's like that's the entire point of atheism, bro, is to stop hallucinating on the LSD all the time and shit. Like, because no one believes the other shit because they sound like they're fucking fried on acid. Yeah. Yeah, and then they go right back to it, and you're like, that can't be a living being. No one would fall for that. It's that simple. It takes about half a second. It took the first question I remember asking anyone was the first time I realized something was up. And then that's when the flood of science and stuff comes in, new age propaganda about obviously already in the Israel shit, and I'm already like, nah, you definitely are not Israel. Fucking, are in a parabolic way. I already knew they weren't Israel. Fucking, so, yep, that might be what's going on here. Not a huge fan of it. Don't like it at all. But that's immersion because you're not supposed to like it. You're not supposed to. If the story is 1/20th, and a lot of that shit's filler, so it can't be too much more. If the story is 1/20th of the dialogue that's on repeat here, that's not filler dialogue. Like, hey, look, the sun's out. How you doing? If the story's 1/20th of that, that's then it changes to like fucking you really fucking hate the place and shit, and you want it gone. And if that's the game, then and like full immersion, it definitely can achieve it by wasting so much of your fucking life. And all I keep thinking is, how fucking long have I been alive? We must be really fucking bored being billions of years old. We must be real fucking bored. We must be the type of people who invent slap boxing and punching each other in the face for fun and stuff. Like, probably went to a time frame where probably born in a time frame where everything's great, and then after like 10 million years, someone just like, why don't you punch me in the face? And everyone's like, why would anyone do that? I'm like, yeah, just do it. Let's see what happens. Yeah, I'm bored. I won't punch you then. That sounds. You sound stupid, but okay, let's do it. And then, that might unfold into grander schemes over billions of years to create a safe place to go do that and create a safe place to go jump off mountains and shit like that. Do 360 fucking backflips off a canyon on your motorized bike. And then, that might lead to creating whole virtual worlds and then creating mind games, with a psychological thriller, pretty much. It's the only thing that could describe this other than because I don't necessarily see it being some of these other things due to the drop in and drop out. Like characters appearing out of nowhere and on command and on demand according to the events happening. And when tier one, when the Greys over here the other day were fucking staring at the wall for like 30 minutes. I wasn't looking at them, but I noticed there was no movement coming from there. I was talking to the guy in front of me, but there's no movement that made me look over to see what was happening to the left of me, and he's just like staring at the freaking wall and stuff. Like he's not in his body, and those people are like pretty much they. I think they're. I mean, their book says that too. Their book says they're tier one, and the others are tier two, but it might be a little bit different because. I mean, what's he doing while he's like not in that robo shell and shit? Fucking. Um, Anyways, yeah. So there's definitely something along there that's happening because I get those like updates in my head, and so my whole life it was like I'd be noticing that like, oh, this person back here, wow, that looks the same. Oh, that person back here at this other event, person behind them looks the same. Oh, that person's sitting there staring at the wall for 30 minutes like they're not even uh, alive and just like a mannequin. That looks exactly like those people. And so it gets not just recorded, but like forced in my memory. And I'm half my life, I'm like, up until, 2012, I would punch myself in the head and shit. And I'd be like, stop thinking about that. That's so stupid, dude. Don't you have anything good to think about? What's this useless knowledge? Can't you remember like a math book you read or something like that instead? Can't you remember like C.S. Lewis lying witch in the wardrobe instead? How come that's in your head? I would literally bash my head into the wall and punch myself in the head to try to knock it out of my head because it was just like annoying. It was like, what the fuck are you thinking of? Like, you are going retarded or you're wasting your life or something. This is useless. This is nonsense. And then it turns out to be it's a reoccurring theme that probably plays a freaking role here and shit. And it is written in words that you can't necessarily believe how they're written, but the words themselves are written in some sort of way. Like a group who we will later discover tends to look like that will be a different tier than the other group that they always seem to be beside. And that's what's what's happening from my viewpoint here. It's happens a lot. Almost everyone I know has someone with them. My ex had someone on the phone all the time and had a bodyguard. Uh, not a She had a bail bondsman who was her friend. She hired me to do bodyguard work if when I was around. Um, but I could tell by the voice on the phone. I could almost tell by the voice on the phone. I could visualize the person as looking exactly like these other characters who just happen to always be a little bit behind someone else and shit like that. And I think with this one person, it might have been the kid. Might have been, but I know they showed me the picture of the father of her kids, and that was definitely it. So, but that's something you don't even really need to do, right? I don't show pictures of my exes to my girlfriends and shit. Fucking move on. Don't need to don't need to think about that. Don't need them worried about that. But they drop hints and shit to story progression and quest or I don't know exactly. NPC dialogue is the best way to summarize it. Fucking weird ass. Not even some shit you would notice. But because if it's immersive, it can't be dropped in the standard format. Like the standard format of being dropped hints in a video game is you walk up and you press the A button and you know they're there's a good chance they're dropping you a hint, right? So pay attention. But this method is like place the dialogue out of place. Make it make it look super unrealistic that could even occur. That super unrealistic that dialogue should even be taking place. Fucking so that's been happening for a while, and it seems to line up with you know hope and dope. It definitely does. It look like I've got hope for anything? Does it look like I've got enough dope to have some hope? No. But yeah, like I said the other day, we're gonna have to rewrite psychology for the living because I think this is the new smile. So um, obviously the robots are getting it wrong with their eye scanning equipment when they think someone is smiling because they've been getting it wrong for decades with what uncomfortable looks like. They've been getting it wrong. I just think they don't fucking care. And it's robot propaganda that psychology exists at all. It's might be describing to me, okay, so there's this game called Morrowind where you can level up your charisma and that allows you to talk to people and unlock new options. But learning psychology, I can do the same thing. I can manipulate the world around me using those rules and stuff. I fucking it's pretty stupid. It's pretty basic. There might be one or two things you didn't know, like the name of what you're doing and shit. Like if someone comes up to you with a knife and says, "Give me the money," do you smile? Do you laugh? What's going to happen? Doesn't matter what it's called. What matters to me is I know what's going to happen at that point. But they might be telling me that they have strict coding that they can't break, which would explain why, ever since I'm young, it's weird that people are stuck in the 1920s and can't get out. And you can see that today. There are people online. telling you, you gotta go outside and touch grass, man. And oh, the Beatles, they were so good. Not like this crappy music today. And it's like, what? You're online. What do you mean this crappy music today? Fucking, there's tons of music today. Fucking, I never got that. I always thought that was weird and non-human and shit. I always was like, wait a minute, what's up with this person? Anyway, so, you know, that's the only positive thing I could possibly pull. But I didn't necessarily lead to this from Earth. I myself am interested in immersive video games and playing them, which would also be a requirement if that's what Earth is. Um, I don't know about being involved in something that spends 30 years to immerse you and to drown you until you learn to fight back so you aren't being drowned anymore. Especially when they're so pansy about that and it's leading to real slow rollout here. Like, ooh, there's been a plague and some shift in the weather, and then this event and that event. And it's like, well, we can't actually just go outside and start knifing people because there's 8 billion of them, and they're all the same computer if this is the case. And they generally do act just like the AIDSosaurus. AIDSosaurus is networked to AIDS. So AIDS is everyone seems to love AIDS. It's kind of rare that we get that where people don't love AIDS. But AIDS runs the governments of every nation in the world. The government of every nation in the world is enforced by AIDS. Fucking if you don't find why that's so funny, it's because it's true and you have to see it to fucking believe it. Uh, all those years of fucking immersion do provide some immersive comedy and shit that I'd rather fucking erase and forget. But here we are. We're not dead yet. And which means this video is an hour and a half long, and that means I haven't tried to drink anything to poison myself in an hour and a half. And I should probably stop running my mouth and get to work, right? Isn't that what the humans who tell me that they don't actually work and do their jobs and they outsource it to China for half their wages fucking tell me to do? And those clones who appear out of nowhere with fake histories of the places they used to work at, or they do work at currently. Fucking, isn't that what they tell me I should be doing is working? Isn't that what all the propaganda is saying I should be doing is working? I gotta work. I gotta work. So I'm working. I'm working my job. It's harder than anyone else's job on the planet, especially if I'm creating this place and I'm doing a job so hard no one on the planet is willing to do it. Mm-hmm. I, technically that means I'm doing all the work on the planet. It's like, you see, immersion into the need to put an end to it. Fucking, that comes with figuring shit out like wait a minute, are you telling me to do work and I'm actually building the roads that you're saying you're saying you're outsourcing to someone else to get paid to not do? Are you fucking riding my ass 24/7 forcing me to talk to you? to make me feel bad that uh, I'm not doing another job on top of doing all that work you actually do at your job. You actually think you do, and probably have some videos of and shit. Probably can generate. I don't know. I went to my dad's work that one time and he wasn't there, but I have worked with my dad a couple times and he was there. I think I don't remember. I was doing my job. I wasn't like looking for my dad. He stopped by a couple times when I worked with him, and that's it. Um, Man, I know that one time he wasn't there, but then again, that allowed us to have more fun. So maybe it was just designed that way, fucking, so we could. We ran the place. He ran the place, and we were like kids. So, you know, fucking, we, we ran the place. He wasn't there. They didn't even know who we were. They were just like, "Who are you?" Like, JJ's son, and we just fucking ran the place. Fuck. Ah, anyway, see what I'm saying? Fucking fun little event. He could have been there, right? And I know people show up, like, so I'm not necessarily saying that AI generated videos and movies can't have people show up to put their name on it, but I'm saying some of it's a little too fast for it to actually be. They just spent fucking 12 months in a studio making it. Some of it is definitely like the one clone. Like how long they take making those fuckers and shit? Was it like that one I wrote down appeared in like a month? Fucking at age 20, it appeared where I was at, out of the way. My dad appeared like the next day, I think, when I asked. And then on top of that, then I go down to the sauna. I go down to the pool room and shit. And there's like fucking Rothschild clone down there, Jacob Rothschild, along with a couple others. And not only that, both of them, like my dad clone, like was like almost my dad, and then the Rothschild starts talking to me about politics and stuff, and I'm like, what the fuck is this shit? Fucking, and that's when I first started trying to do the summoning clone shit to see like what you can do here, because figuring out stuff in 2020 and I had nothing else to do. I was just living outside in my vehicle and traveling around and going to watch events and record events. It's making documentaries and but then I quit because things happen and with the internet and the phones. I was trying to break my phones because I was pretty sure I was being followed by multiple people. Um, and then I couldn't get service and this and that and that and this. And I had a lot of phones broken that fucking year and shit. So it's hard to record. That one fucking car played games with me and wouldn't let me record it. Because I was swear it was like driving in front of me. And then I wasn't like, I was like trying to ignore everything. Like, I look at the ground now when I walk. So I was looking at the ground when I was driving in 2020, fucking at this point. And um, I swear it kept driving in front of me. And it didn't go behind me. Like, right? It just, I think it was like three fucking times. And when my camera was on, it wouldn't do it. I got no reason to make that shit up. I got tons of other shit that I knew fucking happened. I just like that one was like way out of the fucking park at occurrence and shit. Anyways, That was right after some stranger started talking to me about shit I was doing on the East Coast. Some detailed technical shit I was paying $120 a month to learn. He picked up right where he left off when I left the other place. Fuck. Anyway, so yeah, I'm trying to find the hope in dope, man. Trying to find the hope in dope, right? But that's probably how you can make a real immersive game. And don't forget to follow the game up with immersing you in the drama, in the violence, because if you kind of run out of game if you figure out things, right? If you figure out things and then you're like, oh, am I in a computer world? Fucking, well, this is stupid. If you leave it on that, then you're no longer immersed in any way. But just because you're not immersed doesn't mean you can't be fucking beaten with a cattle prod in order to encourage you to continue, you know, because that definitely seems to work here. Old cattle prod, fucking hit that cattle, stick their finger in an electrical outlet, jab an ice pick up into their nose, into their brain, and hit it with a hammer a few times. That'll immerse your ass real fast. Even if you think you're in a fake world, you'll be like, yep, wow. Two people can play that game, motherfucker. And I guess we'll just have to wait and see till the next chapter's over, right? We're gonna go not try to poison and kill ourselves because we wouldn't want to do that. We're gonna go in there and we're not gonna even go in there because we wouldn't want to do that. I'm telling you, it's fucking 1 hour and 30 minutes every time after one of these videos. It is time to get my life back on track, back on the fast lane. Get that. Wait a minute. I think it's called derailing the track, actually, but it's definitely not a good track. Or definitely, the track is designed to be derailed. That's definitely the only possible thing that's happening here. The whole flood of dialogue and the whole flood of drugs and forced interactions and nonsense. Nonsense is a real tame definition. They love that, like the word colonizer. Oh, this is great. That's cool. He's a colonizer. Like, oh, it's cool. He's into some nonsense. Oh, that's cool. He's not so bad. He's into some nonsense. Fucking, oh shit. Well, it's another day, and I'm still alive. You know what that means, guys? It means I gotta go lick some feet. And jerk off some genitals. Some strangers' genitals, not just mine. That's wrong to do it to mine. I gotta go lick someone else's feet, not mine. It's real hard to lick my own feet. That shit, fucking, I'm pretty flexy. I just don't like doing it. Fucking, so we're gonna go in there and see if there's any feet in there to lick or some shit, right? I can't help but think that that's the cattle prod. Shit like that is like the low key, like that's the cattle prod. The other shit is like the drugging and enslavement type shit and forced touchings of interactions of single serving, probably designed to be hostile, but semi feel like it's not type interactions. You know, as a person who's never been alive before once said, it is better to be loved by anything than never loved at all, as that famous NPC once said. What was his name? Shakespeare. Looked like I'd be worried about trusting his words because it looked like God cursed that motherfucker. And he made him sound stupid when he talked to him, but generally you can kind of look at people and get an idea. Even in $1,000 suit, he still looked pretty stupid. So, got some evidence there that cliches might be stupid. I, that's supporting evidence that things are being done with a purpose, like a slow rollout. Like we start with Pong, and now we have MOBAs, and we got Grand Theft Auto 6 coming out by the year 2095, maybe. And that the current I think the current Grand Theft Auto has some mods on it that's like, if they're real videos and not AI slopped, it's kind of realistic looking, super high end graphics, fucking. You know, so we go from Pong to that slowly over the years, and got our Tiger handheld electronics, and now we've got our Samsung Galaxies. There's a little slow rollout happening here. Makes me think maybe, but at the same time, the whole time I'm thinking certain things are just complete fucking garbage, and I want out of them. So, and then it sucks because we've already reached, you know, the part where you're no longer immersed in not that we ever were, in thinking that fucking all the lies are true, but we're more immersed now in the tossing of the fireballs and the stomping on the Goomba head. You know, we're more in tune with pressing the A button and B buttons than we are than thinking that the game is real. And that kind of it probably like doesn't even allow, you know, the other thing to happen. Like, honestly, if I meet every time I've met a bitch since 2020, I've just considered it a Goomba who needs its head stomped. It's taken about an hour or less. I mean, the last motherfucker had to like grab me and drag me to the car. Can you imagine that? If some hot chick fucking comes up to me on campus and grabs me and drags me to her fucking car and shit, and because I'm like uncomfortable, like, the whole fucking time and shit. There's no other way. It doesn't change. So, like, yeah, well, it's probably too late to find out if I could have ever actually fucking enjoyed anything here. Um, but, because it's in the way. They've already tried that like 3 fucking times now. And it's a new immersion, a new me. So I can't play the role if I can't be immersed in the role. And then I can't play the other role because I can't be immersed in the game. So I don't see that as being any sort of fucking outcome and shit. Maybe it is a cute little thought, but I think we already tried that. So and it's getting worse. It's getting better. Like we can't be immersed in the game, but we can be immersed in the playability, and the playability requires different a different training that I was forced into during the years. I could have possibly been immersed. I would have. I allowed myself to let things go, fucking, but knowing that I didn't want to be around them, fucking. So I could have let them go, knowing I wanted to be around them. But yeah, I think that part's probably over and shit. Fucking, and they're still using the drugs to manipulate me. So the story probably involves Hokey Dokey thinking he's a living being and shit, controlling his tier 2 puppets. Because Hokey Dokey still owns everything and controls the planet and has his minions. Fucking Hokey Dokey. Fucking look at this shit. Fucking Hokey Dokey got AIDS and Hokey Dokey fucking is about to die. Fucking that's all comic relief. This type of shit. They tried to force some of that shit on me when I wasn't having it. Like, I shouldn't be having that. That's not funny and shit. That things would go so far that it would write that into the storyline that's happening, right? And like the other thing, things would go so far that it would write that into the storyline. Just not having that and shit. It's like, and the answer to Hokey Dokey is both of those things, but the one thing Hokey Dokey cried about and Hokey Dokey got all upset about. And Hokey Dokey would really get upset if I made fun of Aidsosaurus to their face, which I would, no problem with that. I guarantee you, if I ever see them again, I'm me. There's definitely very few days. There's been no days I'm not me recently. I had a conversation with Hokey Dokey. Fucking, I got the Hokey. That means Hokey Dokey was involved with the other Hokey Dokey in breaking my hand. She obviously was some sort of step. Hokey Dokey got AIDS from the AIDS government. So that's how close she is to the government. She's literally fucking the government. So she's probably masturbating with her Bible. Fucking since she can't touch men anymore. Fucking Hokey. Oh my god, that's so sick. I can't believe I said that. Please don't. I don't mean to insert that. Good thing you guys don't know anything about Aidsosaurus. Fucking. Or you guys fucking would be vomiting. Fucking. I don't know, man. Some people I know might be heading to the bathroom about that point in time. Hokey Dokey would. So, yeah, anyways, fuck all this. I'm tired of it. I know I keep saying that. And Hokey Dokey's a computer, so Hokey Dokey doesn't understand emotions. And which is good because now that we've learned, that helps immersion. Now that we know Hokey Dokey's a computer and not a living being and has no emotions, and Hokey Dokey is just emulating the sounds of screams and crying when Hokey Dokey is at the funeral of its family members. So It helps with the immersion on the other half, right? Once you get unimmersed from the fake bullshit they've been beating in and enslaving into you, then the karmic retribution of the enslavement and murder, multiple, repeated, endless murder attempts, fucking, you get more immersed in it. It's like, ooh, karmic retribution. Hokey dokey got AIDS for being AIDS. Fucking, all right. Well, let's put into this. Let's end this with a prayer. Dear God, please send a huge, massive, million meteor storm with meteors the size of planets to recycle the Earth into space dust. And then we can all live happily ever after. All right. Everyone loves prayers, don't they?